And welcome back to another filming at Captain's Call. I'm Captain John Bushy.
And I'm Master Chief Michael Wilkins.
And today we have a special guest star with us. We have the OIC from VRC 30 Det 5.
I'm Lieutenant Commander Stephen Parenti from Pensacola, New Jersey, and my call sign is Sparky.
Sparky. Well, welcome aboard. It's nice to have you here.
Thank you, sir.
So today we'd like to talk a little bit about what everybody likes to see when you're out on the carrier, and that's the COD. We want to talk about the mission, your personnel, your goals. So what's the primary mission of your detachment?
Well, sir, the primary mission of VRC 30 Det 5, we employ two C-2 Greyhound aircraft, which are the oldest aircraft to fly to and from the aircraft carrier, also the largest to fly to and from the aircraft carrier, about 56 feet long and about 80 feet wide. And our primary mission is to bring all of the personnel, mail, cargo, and parts out to the ship. As you know, it's pretty far out there from land, so there's got to be some lifeline between ashore and at sea. And since the supply ships only come about once a week, we fill that gap with that high priority people and cargo, and we have daily flights to and from the ship to provide distinguished visitors, personnel replacements both to and from the ship, as well as much needed cargo and parts for the airmen.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I've both flown on to the carrier as flown off the carrier with the COD, and it's always amazed me that something that big can fit on there, because it always looks like it's just too big for the landing area. But it's also, like I said, a welcome addition to everybody's day, because that kind of kicks off the cycle. But I know when I was on Nimitz, we had a lot of DVs that came out, a lot of parts and a lot of people that flowed both to the carrier and from the carrier via that asset. But you guys were also kind of the liaison to everything that was happening in the future, because you tended to have the pre-positioning base someplace where the ship was going next. And that was always something that you guys always had the gouge on what was upcoming, what was good to see, and what was good to do when we got to the next destination.
Yes, sir. That's probably the biggest benefit of the job, is we follow the ship around for logistics sites. So when we're operating in this AOR around Japan, we're typically stationed out of places like Guam, Osan, up in Korea, Kadena down in Okinawa, Clark Air Force Base in the Philippines, Singapore. Those are the main ports that we hit. And the way that the CTF-70 and USS Ronald Reagan operate, we were able to hopscotch our way around the AOR on our own. We have extended fuel range tanks. We're able to actually load up extra gas into our aircraft and fly to our different forward logistics sites. And that gives us the ability to load cargo and bring it out to the ship from the beach. And the reason why we operate specifically from the beach, in case there's a problem with our aircraft, we both have the support of all of the maintainers that are already on the ship, but we have our own maintenance detachment that is ashore. And it also helps the handler out, as you said, your ship's company before. Since we are such a large footprint on the carrier, it makes a big difference for us to actually be off the ship and to allow the handler to move those aircraft along the flight deck when we're not there.
Sure. So, where are some of the more interesting places that you've been able to take the aircraft to for support of the carrier?
Well, I said, my personal favorite that I've been to in this AOR is Singapore. I've operated out of there. It's very difficult to operate out of there because Singapore has a lot of rules that they impose, but it's certainly very, very interesting. There's a lot of great culture to see there. I have not been to the Philippines yet, but I've heard that that's a great forward logistics site. Should be operating there this summer. And we've been all over. I've done 2 Westpacks before here. Probably my most interesting forward logistics site, actually, sir, was this at Sugi when I was here as part of Tamarachi in 2011. VRC 30 Det 1 was with the USS Ronald Reagan back then, and we were here for 6 weeks in support of Operation Tamarachi. So right here at my home base where I live right now was actually my most, probably my most cherished time that I've been part of the VRC community.
So that actually brings up an interesting point, is that Det 5 is the only forward deployed completely autonomous detachment.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So that gives you guys a little bit of a different feel than the other detachments, I would suppose.
Yes, sir. A typical detachment will stand up in 4 to 6 months prior to going on deployment, and they'll take personnel from our main squadron, which is in San Diego, and they'll get the two best assets that that squadron has. They have 12 aircraft that they employ through multiple debts, and then they'll go on cruise for 6 to 8 months, and then they will fold back into the squadron when they return. Currently, Det 4 is out here doing a Westpac as we speak. They're right now in Kadena supporting the USS John C. Stennis. When they come back from their deployment, they'll fold back into the squadron and stand and then be part of the squadron that supports West Coast-based carriers when they're operating around San Diego. We are always here in Itsugi. We have the same 55 personnel year-round, with the exception of PCS rotations, and we have the same 2 aircraft year-round. We're ready to go at a moment's notice. We don't require that time to build up. We're always in a constant state of readiness, and we're sort of on our own out here. My personal chain of command goes from me as the OIC. It goes up to our CO, who's stationed in San Diego. So there's obviously some challenges that are there when trying to communicate back and forth because they're on West Coast time, and we're out here in Japan, and we're usually a day ahead. So it's kind of interesting, but it's a lot of fun, a lot of autonomy out here. Everybody's responsibility is elevated to a higher level. As an 04, fulfilling almost the role of a CO out here, as my CO is operating remotely from San Diego, and all of our lieutenants and junior maintainers are having to fulfill the roles of higher-ranking individuals in other squadrons.
Well, you just mentioned the the maintainers, and earlier in a conversation you talked about it's the oldest aircraft that hits the deck. Is that challenging for your maintenance crew?
Absolutely. We are probably our biggest challenge is the parts. They come from the United States, so we're typically waiting from 5 to 6 days for a part to arrive via air mail, or sometimes they come on a ship. And they are aging aircraft. We do have the absolute best maintainers in the fleet, as far as I'm concerned. The men and women of Det 5 they do send the best of the best out here, but it is challenging for them. They spend long hours trying to get these aircraft back up. Fortunately, though, when an aircraft does go down, it generally goes down in the line, and we're able to repair it there. I will say that it is the safest aircraft to fly to and from the aircraft carrier, and it is on the backs of our people that it's able to get there.
Awesome. Well, so what's the most interesting type of cargo you've had an opportunity to move?
Oh, we fly out all kinds of items. We just recently were flying some rotor blades in support of our friends at HSC 12. We've flown out all kinds of high priority parts, radar domes. In support of Tomodachi, we were flying food, water, blankets up and down the coast. Typically, what makes up the majority of our load, besides aircraft parts, believe it or not, is Amazon packages. Yeah.
Well, everybody's happy to see Amazon packages, right?
Absolutely. We flown out guitars. You can see, obviously, the box of the guitar, bicycles, and all kinds of packages. And then certainly a lot of care packages from home to our men and women that are out there serving on the ship. So we're sort of that lifeline that kind of keeps the morale up. We take great pride in that because, as everybody knows, we can't get very far without the morale of our people being at a high level. So we're able to help provide that. So those are certainly some of the most interesting things that we've flown out there.
Yeah.
Well, and I have to agree. I mean, I've been on 4 aircraft carriers, and the first thing that the average sailor does is look at the air plan to see when the COD's coming. That way they can kind of do some mental math and determine when mail call is going to be, so that they can be looking for that package.
Absolutely, yeah. We love to provide that, and we love that that's our that's kind of part of our reputation. And you'll see a lot of our folks, both pilots and air crew, and even some of our maintainers wear U.S. Postal Service patches on their flight suits. So technically, we are part of the U.S. postage system. We're very happy to bring that out. In addition, some really interesting personnel. Brought out some distinguished visitors, some celebrities. We've brought out the cast of Transformers out to the USS.
Did they fit?
They all of them, yes, sir. Well, we were able to actually condense them down into their smaller form until they expanded. Yes, it was a little difficult. We were a little concerned about that. We had to remove the lithium batteries though from most of them.
I would have been concerned about the weight too.
Yeah.
Because,
you'd be surprised when they condense how small they get. But Bruce Willis, we've flown him out. All bands, Creed, Nickelback. Jessica Simpson flew her out the ship. She got a little airsick, unfortunately. So when we got her out here, it took her a little while to get her sea legs after the flight out. But and then that brought out a lot of smiles, a lot of morale for our folks out there as well.
oh, that's good.
Outstanding. Well, are there any goals you'd like to discuss, or any parting shots you'd like to to get out there before we move to the second segment?
Well, sir, I'd just like to make sure that everybody knows that we're out there. We are the smallest detachment that goes out to the ship, smallest command, so to speak, and generally forgotten about until we're needed. So what I always like to say is or like to point out is that remember that there are folks out there that are supporting the carrier, bringing cargo personnel back and forth, and those are the men and women of the VRC 30-5. We're the providers. We deliver. That's our slogan. We certainly love to do that. And just like our folks remember that that's the lifeline to and from the ship is a C2 Greyhound, sir.
Awesome. Great. CMC, anything else?
Well, just happy to be back. It's been a couple of captain's calls since I've been here, so just happy to be back in front of the camera.
Well, great. Well, it's good to have you back. OIC, thank you for coming.
Thank you, sir.
It's
Appreciate
great
it.
to get the opportunity to talk to you, to introduce your aircraft and your wonderful people. And so appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Thank you
Thanks
very
for
much.
taking some time. All right. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a moment.
My dad, my grandfather, my cousin, as far back as I can remember, everyone has joined and served in the military for at least 4 years. After I graduated with a bachelor's in microbiology, I decided that it was time to fulfill one of my other dreams, which was to join the military. So I went to the Navy. I originally was contracted for special programs, and during training for special programs, I was injured, and that's how I actually ended up in air traffic control. I work out 6 days a week, most likely 7 if you include aggressive stretching. I'm in the military. I should always be fit and ready if the call does come for me to protect my nation, you know. And I guess I've always enjoyed it most of all. There's weightlifting, there's calisthenics, there's Olympic lifts, all these different things that get combined together to make me the fittest and most functional person I can be. I'm AC3 Joe Hilt, and this is my story.
And welcome back. This week I'd like to say congratulations to our Sailor of the Week. It's AEAN Dossing from VRC 30-5, which is appropriate because that's who our subject was earlier today. Want to say thank you very much for all of his hard work. Although he's only been on board for a few short months, he was somebody who materially contributed to 2 major inspections they recently had, their MCI and their MPA. And during both of these, he was extremely enthusiastic. He handled the practical drills extremely well, and he was a critical member of those 2 assessments. So I wanted to say congratulations to him for being our Sailor of the Week. So why don't we get into some BZs for this week? What do you have?
Yes, sir. Service provider, Central Texas College. Mrs. Agallo was very helpful and polite when assisting me. I recommend her to anybody who wants to take online classes through Central Texas College.
All right, service provider is security. I wanted to express my gratefulness and satisfaction with MA3 Finley. Every time I come through the front gate, he has always been extremely professional and kind. I appreciate his service as well as all the other hardworking MAs for NAF at SUNY.
Before I read this other one, it's also nice to get a little recognition for the hard work that our Master at Arms put in, because they put a lot of effort into what they do, and they do a great job generally.
Well, they're out there rain or shine. They're out there daytime, nighttime, freezing, it doesn't matter which. They're out there on all the holidays. So they're also our first line of defense. So you're right,
Yes,
they all deserve a BZ for that.
Yes, sir. Moving back to the script, service provider golf course. The greens are magnificent. Thank you.
They are magnificent. With this rain that we're getting today, I hope they're more green.
That should help. Yes, sir.
Service provider, HRO. I sent an email to Femi, who responded very promptly and was so very helpful, friendly, and professional. Thank you.
And the last Bravo Zulu that we have today goes to the next Autoport. The level of attention and professionalism displayed by Sapphire and Akiko were outstanding and definitely worth mentioning. The entire Autoport team works great together. Keep up the outstanding work. Quite frequently, sir, you and I are in a position to where we hear more of the bad things that happen around the base, and it's easy for us to get into that rhythm of nothing is getting done correctly. And these Bravo Zulus here are certainly a testament to the fact that our team does do things in an outstanding manner as well.
Well, on top of that, I do appreciate that somebody took the time to do a nice comment, to give somebody a positive
Right.
recognition, to give some feedback, because that does mean an awful lot. It means a lot to those folks that maybe are behind the scenes but are making it all work and putting it all together. So thank you very much for that. It is truly appreciated.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, I think that's all we have this week. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.